Welcome back to Mastering Wisconsin Plumbing, the podcast for Wisconsin apprentices, journeymen, and future masters who want to get code savvy, job site smart, and confident in their craft. I'm your host, Ryan Boggs. This is episode 5, and today we're diving deeper into venting systems, specifically circuit vents and vertical wet vents. These two systems can open up a ton of flexibility in your layouts when you understand how to apply them the right way. Let's get into it. The circuit vent system is powerful, but it has rules, and the first one is you can use it with floor outlet fixtures or wall outlet fixtures, but not both on the same circuit. So if you're circuit venting a bank of water closets, those are all floor outlet fixtures, and the whole system must stay that way. You can incorporate some floor drains in there, maybe some floor outlet urinals, but they all have to be floor outlet. Same thing if you're doing lavatories. Wall outlet, right? Everything on that circuit vent system must match that. They must all be floor outlet or all wall outlet. Circuit venting allows you to connect 2 to 8 fixtures, and the point of vent is in between the two most upstream fixtures. But here's the key. If you're circuit venting 4 or more fixtures, you're required to install a relief vent. That relief vent must be placed downstream of the furthest fixture being vented by the circuit. So from a sizing standpoint, you cannot reduce the pipe diameter within that circuit. So from the point of vent to the most downstream fixture, or if you're using that relief, from the relief all the way to that point of vent and circuit vent. That means you can look at the DFU load on the portion of pipe just downstream of the last circuit vented fixture and size that whole circuit that way. Now here's a little flexibility built into the code. You can add unlimited 1 DFU wall outlet fixtures to a circuit as long as each one of those fixtures is individually vented. But even though they're individually vented, they still contribute to the DFU total, so you still have to size the pipe to carry all that flow. There are also some really cool nuances with OTWVs and circuit and relief vents. You can use a circuit vent as a wet vent, or the state of Wisconsin calls an other type of wet vent, also abbreviated OTWV. And yes, if you're humming, yeah, you know me, you're not alone. OTWV, yeah, you know me. If you're using a circuit vent or a relief vent as an OTWV, that portion of piping must be at least 2 inches in diameter. That's the minimum for any OTWV setup. Let's actually read this section of code. So this is in 382.31, 13 is wet venting, and C, other types of wet vents. An individual vent serving a floor outlet fixture, a common vent serving a floor outlet fixture, a circuit vent, a relief vent serving a circuit vented drain, or relief vent serving a wet vented horizontal drain, may serve as a wet vent in accordance with subdivisions 1 to 4. No more than 2 wall outlet fixtures, each fixture with a drainage fixture unit value of 1 or less, may have their fixture drains connected into the individual vent, common vent, circuit vent, or relief vent. The wet vent shall be at least 2 inches in diameter. The branch vent to which the wet vent connects shall be sized in coordination with subdivision 14. The branch vent may serve wall outlet fixtures in lieu of individual vents or a common vent. The fixtures discharging into the wet vent shall be located at the same floor level as the fixtures served by the wet vent. So how we size a circuit vent is directly related to how many DFUs are on that circuit vent system of fixtures. Now how we size the relief vent, if we're required to have it within that circuit vent system, is a little different. We can be no less than half the size of the diameter of the circuit vent drain that it serves. So what that means in the field is you could actually have the circuit vent be smaller than required of that relief vent. Even though they're the same amount of fixtures, there's a DFU load assigned on that relief, but that's not how we size it. Which reminds me, all the rules for water closets, you can't vent a water closet with less than 1.5 inch vent, and If you have more than 2 water closets, it's got to be at least 2 inches. Now let's switch over to one of the most common real-world venting systems out there, the vertical wet vent. You'll find the vertical wet venting system in setups like a laundry tub and automatic clothes washer, a kitchen sink and a dishwasher, or back-to-back lavatories on a shared wall. The big rule? You need 2 wall outlet fixtures on the same level, each with its own fixture drain, both tying into the same vertical pipe at different elevations. The vertical pipe serves 2 purposes. It's the drain for the upper fixture and the vent for the lower fixture. That's the entire concept of wet venting, dual purpose use of one pipe. So how do we size a vertical wet vent? The sizing logic is pretty straightforward. The wet vent section must be 1 pipe size larger than the drain of the upper fixture, but never smaller than 2 inches. In fact, across all wet venting systems, it's safe to say all wet vents must be at least 2 inches. Let's walk through a real example. You have an automatic clothes washer and a laundry tub. The automatic clothes washer requires a 2-inch trap. The laundry tub requires an 1.5-inch trap. If the automatic clothes washer is the upper fixture, the vertical wet vent must be 3 inches, 1 pipe size larger from the 2-inch drain. But if you flip it and the laundry tub is the upper fixture, now the vertical section only needs to be 2 inches. That little switch can mean smaller pipe, fewer fittings, smaller holes to drill, less time and labor. This is where code knowledge turns into real-world field wins. So to recap, circuit vents are great for banks of floor or wall outlet fixtures. Remember, it's one or the other. And then if we have 4 or more, we have to have a relief vent. You can use circuit vents and relief vents as wet vents, but size them properly. And then vertical wet venting is ideal for a paired wall outlet fixtures on the same level. And in all wet vent systems, 2 inches is your minimum. The more familiar you get with these systems, the more efficient, accurate, and confident you'll be, especially when faced with unusual layouts, tight space constraints, or value engineering situations. Next week, we're going to shift from venting into water pipe sizing. We'll explore the theory behind water pipe sizing, fixture unit calculations, and then pressure loss from elevation, friction, and identify controlling fixture and how to spot the difference there, and how to apply all the information from the tables for 38240 the right way. Don't worry, water pipe sizing might be intimidating, but we're going to break it down into manageable chunks and go over all the vocabulary and make sure everybody's got a good understanding of what it is. So thanks for tuning in to Mastering Wisconsin Plumbing. If you found today's episode helpful, share it with your crew, your apprentices, or even your instructor. And as always, stay code smart, measure twice, and keep those vents flowing. See you next week.